Hello, and welcome back. My name is Michael Moose, and today I will be sharing with you one of my most epic journeys. This is the tale of the Moonlit map. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Chapter 1: The First Grumble of Dawn. The sun hadn't even finished yawning when I knew something was wrong. One moment, I was enjoying a perfectly ordinary morning dew on the grass, a satisfying crunch to the pine bark, and a patch of sunlight just right for my left haunch. Then, the river behind my den groaned, hissed, and promptly turned around. I watched in mute irritation as a trout flew out of the water and slapped me across the nose. "Well, that's new," I muttered, blinking. "Welcome to the Elderpine Forest, where magic is part of the soil and common sense is frequently optional. My name is Michael Moose. Yes, that Michael Moose. Former member of the Antlered Alliance, reluctant forest hero, and current overseer of the Birchwood Glades Moss Management. Also, proud, slightly grumpy, and a firm believer that socks are a terrible invention." The world had gone odd. By midday, the brambleberries were growing upside down, the squirrels were singing in minor keys, and the sky had taken on a shade of pink I found personally offensive. I would have ignored "Ite retirement is sacred," but when the shadows came slinking from the dark woods, I knew I couldn't. Not again. Chapter 2: A map, a raven, and too many burrs. Get up, Moose. You've got doom to thwart. I cracked open one eye. A black beady one stared back. Ruby the Raven, professional sarcasm enthusiast, sat on my antlers like she owned the place. She did that. "You know, most animals announce themselves before barging in. And most moose don't snore like thunderclouds having an argument," she snapped. I grunted and rolled upright. The cloak, a moth-eaten, enchanted thing from my Alliance days, was stuck under a log and covered in burrs. Again, always burrs. "The moon map showed up last night," Ruby said, fluttering to a nearby stump. "The stone's real, and it's waking up." I paused. The stone, the heart of the Elderpine's magic, long thought-loster, more accurately sealed away after we nearly broke the world with it. "So," I said, dragging the cloak free, "we're doing this." Ruby nodded. "You, me, and this ridiculous stick you call a staff." My staff made from a fallen branch of the world tree sparked faintly as I picked it up. It hummed in my grip, old power stirring. Great. Adventure. Again. Chapter 3: Through Bramble and Blunder. The first leg of our journey took us through the gloaming thickets. In my youth, I would have leapt the thorn gullies and danced past the whispering willows like a four-legged miracle. Now I got stuck 3 times. "You'd think ancient ruins would be built with accessibility in mind," I grumbled, trying to squeeze through a vine-covered archway designed for something goat-sized. Ruby snorted. "Didn't you once duel a centaur in a broom closet?" He was asking for it. The map, glowing under moonlight, showed a path to the stone's resting place, the Vale of Verdant Silence. Only accessible through the hollow hills, naturally. And to get there, we needed to cross Bramble-Gatia town of hedgefolk known for bureaucracy and baked goods. "Leave the talking to me," I told Ruby. "Oh no," she said with a grin. "This I need to see." Chapter 4: Hedgefolk and Hiccups. Bramblegate hadn't changed. Still smelled like cinnamon and compost. The hedgefolk, tiny beings made of twigs, moss, and mild judgment, watched me warily. Moose don't exactly blend in. We entered the council chamber after I accidentally knocked over a lantern, a bench, and possibly someone's ceremonial hedge gnome. "Michael Moose," croaked Elder Thistle, his leaf beard rustling. "We thought you were dead." "Just retired, preferably horizontal and far from any heroics." "Then why return?" I looked at the Moonlit map, then at Ruby. "Because the forest needs fixing, and apparently no one else has antlers big enough to do it." Chapter 5: Hollow Hills and Hauntings. We left Bramblegate with a satchel of seed cakes and more questions than answers. The hollow hills loomed like sleeping beasts, their fog-laced ridges whispering old songs. We trudged up switchback trails, Ruby flapping beside me. "You think the stone's awake for good?" "No idea," I said. "But the forest's heartbeat is off. You feel it, don't you?" She didn't answer, just flew closer. Halfway up, the fog thickened, shadows moved wrong, and then... "Michael," said a voice. It wasn't Ruby's. A memory stepped out of the Miss Sable the Lynx, my old comrade from the Alliance. Only, he died during the Glimmerhorn siege. "You're not real," I said. "Does that matter?" the Phantom replied, before lunging. I swung my staff, and the illusion shattered into curling mist. Ruby landed on my back, shaken. "We're not alone." No, the stone was waking, and it didn't like visitors. Chapter 6. The Veil of Verdant Silence. At last, we reached it. The veil was a cradle of green stillness where every leaf seemed to listen. At the center, the stone, floating above a pedestal of root and rock, humming with tangled magic. Around it slithered the shadow creature's fragments of broken spell, hunger-made form. I lowered my antlers. "Plan?" Ruby asked. "Charge and improvise." We fought. My staff lit the night. Ruby shrieked spells. I gored shadows and stomped curses. Finally, battered and breathless, I stood before the stone. I touched it with my staff. The magic poured in. Visions, flashes, all of Elderpine's history flowed through Might's birth, its wounds, its triumphs. And a choice. Restore the balance or seize the power. I grunted. "Balance," I said. Light burst from the stone, sweeping through the vale, the hills, the thickets, Bramblegate, all the way to the dark woods. The forest exhaled. Chapter 7. Home. The river flowed forward again. The brambleberries grew right side up. The sky turned blue. I returned to my glade. Ruby stayed a while, then flew off on some mysterious mission involving a badger cult. Typical. As for me, I'm back to moss management. Mostly. Because every now and then, a shadow flickers or a flower glows too bright. And I fetch the cloak and the staff. Because Elderpine never really lets you go. And sometimes, even a grumpy old moose has to answer when the forest calls.